Thank you so much for joining us on WION. This incident seems concerning, to say the least. What is happening right now? Are we really on a brink of war with Russia?
Well, let's certainly hope not, and it doesn't have to be that way. But this does represent an inflection point potentially, and definitely a change, because as the Pentagon itself has released in just the last few days, encounters in the Black Sea between the U.S. and Russian aircraft, or Western and Russian aircraft, are actually common. In the years before the war started, in fact, it was up to 400 per year, and it's continued on to the point to where the Pentagon calls them routine. Up to this point, there has been no interaction, physical interaction between the aircraft. Now that it's very clear from this video that's been released by the Pentagon that this was an absolute decision and an act by Russia, intentional to have some sort of interaction, whether they were intending to actually knock it out of the sky or just blinded sensors with the dumping of fuel is unknown, but it definitely happened. And so the question is going to be, is this going to be the new normal? Is this something that Russia is going to continue to do to harass the pilot, the aircraft, especially the reconnaissance drones, or is this going to be a one-off kind of situation? And then the other question is, what is the U.S. going to do in response? Do they send more aircraft in? You had people like Lindsey Graham suggesting we should shoot down anything that came into near contact with American fighter aircraft or any kind of aircraft. Or do we maybe start flying them further back from the Russian air bases, as this one was actually pretty close? And all that remains to be seen. But it's a very tense situation, and it could escalate if things get, any more kinetic.
Colonel, why isn't there an appetite to de-escalate this situation, not just with the United States and Russia, but with the Ukrainians and Russia as well, notably on Capitol Hill? I mean, you mentioned Lindsey Graham. It almost seems like he's asking for some kind of confrontation.
Well, I mean, that's the net result of what he's asking, which is why it's really bad advice, which it doesn't appear that the White House is going to be taking that kind of advice, and let's hope they continue down that path. But your other question is really more pertinent in this situation, because the biggest risk that has existed from the beginning has been that any kind of, whether miscalculation, mistake, an accident, something like this happened that's not intended, but then it sparks something bigger, which could cause a clash between NATO and Russia. And of course, because of the number of nuclear weapons on either side of that calculation, the consequences of that could be catastrophic. It is absolutely in the interest of the United States and certainly of NATO that we seek to de-escalate this situation, to bring this war to a rapid conclusion as quickly as we can. And of course, the Ukraine side is opposed to that right now, and understandably so, because they were invaded. There's a foreign military on their borders, and that physically possesses their land. But at some point, we have to realize that militarily, there's just almost no chance that Ukraine can drive Russia out of its territories. And so then the question becomes, do you keep on trying to do something that won't succeed, causing even more of your people to be killed, more of your cities destroyed, or do you find some way to bring this to an end and at least stop the destruction of your country?
Thank you so much for that analysis, and we look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis.